I get this question enough to know that I needed to make a video on it to live on my channel forever. First of all, subscribe to my channel right in that lower corner over here. And second of all, if you're enjoying me posting all the time, you give this video a thumbs up. That would mean a lot to me. Today, I want to talk about a blog that I wrote a long time ago. Blogs are like so 10, 15, 20 minutes ago, that I send to women all the time. I get this question all the time, and that's why I wanted to make a video. It was a blog that I wrote in response to a Humans of New York post about a young man. And this young man shared with, I forget the name of the guy who runs Humans of New York, but he had shared with him that he had just broken up with his girlfriend because he was Catholic and she was really unsure about her faith, and it was a really huge difference that he did not see them overcoming. In that sharing, he said, I want to get married in a Catholic church. I want to raise my children to be Catholic. It's important to me and it's something we'd have to deal with eventually, so I didn't think it would be a good idea to keep putting it off. Now, I'm talking about this in light of this young man's story, and he's Catholic and he broke up with this girl, but this could apply to you in your life as well, even if you don't share that faith. You know that I am Catholic, so I'll talk about it in the sense of this story, but this may apply to your life otherwise. So this was posted on Humans of New York that he decided to end their relationship because this was too big of a difference for him. And in the comment section on Facebook and Instagram and all those different kinds of things, people were vicious to this young man. Vicious. Like, why would you give the love that's in front of you up for, some invisible person in the sky? Love matters so much more than religion. Matters so much more than faith or what you believe in, etc. It was awful. It was horrible. And that's why I wrote this blog about it. When it comes to this question, marrying someone of a different faith, even dating someone of a different faith, it is a very serious thing. It is really serious. Why? Because the commitment of marriage cannot, and I've said this 1,000 times, the seriousness of the commitment of marriage cannot be overstated. You literally cannot say too much that marriage is such a serious commitment, and faith within marriage is a very serious thing. Now, it's really important to understand, and that something that these people commenting did not understand, is that faith, right? The faith that I practice as a Catholic Christian, right? And I say Catholic Christian because a lot of people don't know that Catholics are Christians, but the faith that I profess is so much more than just this thing, this part of my life and this flimsy set of beliefs that just come and go, and just this facet of my life. And we talked about this in the sense of the pizza parlor analogy in that Crazy Chiquita video, that this is the core of who I am, that my faith is the core of who I am. It doesn't just fly by the wind and whatever. It's this thing that I've committed to with my life. I believe that it's the truth. It affects every single one of my days. It affects how I operate within marriage, the choices that I make with my spouse, who is Daniel. Together, it affects so much. And sometimes people decide, like this young man did, that the faith that they practice, the faith that I practice, I don't want to have to be in a marriage or in a dating relationship where I have to explain all of these things, or I have to defend all these things, or I have to answer why we have to do all these things. And I want to marry a person who understands all of those things already. This is an extremely personal decision. Marriage to anyone is an extremely personal decision, because you will be the person who lives through the consequences, positive and negative, of the choice that you make for the rest of your life. And that's the important thing to remember that I wrote to this young man, that if you don't want to fight for those things or explain those things or defend those things throughout your time, right, that you just don't see yourself as a person who would marry a person of a different faith, there's nothing wrong with that. That it is perfectly okay what this young man said, that I want and desire a person in marriage who would share those things, who would believe in those things passionately, who would understand all of those different kinds of things. For instance, Daniel and I do not use contraception within marriage. That is a Catholic teaching that we adhere to, that is very important part of the vows that we made on our wedding day and practicing our faith, right? That is something that a lot of people don't understand. That's, it seems like a total impossibility for people. And so for me to marry someone who understood why that would be, who believes passionately why that would be, was really important in my personal decision to marry Daniel. And I really want you to understand that and like put that in your heart, that if that's what you desire and you don't want to have to explain all of your beliefs, you want to marry someone who shares in those, who understands those, who shares in those passionately with you, there's nothing wrong with that. Please hear me when I say that and know that that is true. There's nothing that will ever be wrong with your desire for that. Another thing that's important to remember that I talked about this in this blog for this young man is that he didn't break up with this young woman because she thinks she's a bad person, or because he thinks less of her. That is so important to remember, and it's something our culture forgets so easily. That you say, we have these major differences and we cannot move forward in dating or engagement or marriage. Like, we have these major differences, and it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't mean I think I'm better than you, or I think you're less than me. It simply means we have these differences that we will not be able to overcome, or I do not wish to overcome or desire to overcome with you. I would rather part ways and find someone who I don't have these major differences with. It is not a matter of the opinion you hold of the person or judging the other person. It is a matter of saying, I am going to make that choice for myself, embracing all of those positive and negative consequences, and I do not wish for these differences to be a part of that. That is also perfectly okay. Another thing that I think is really important to remember is that your faith, the core of who you are, if that's something that you practice, will compel you in life to make very, very, very hard decisions. Very hard decisions. This boy talked about how he sobbed, right? He sobbed and sobbed, even though he knew that in his heart that it was the right thing. And I so commend him for doing that. I have no idea where he was. This is like 4 years ago. I wonder what he's doing now. I would love to talk to him. But it's going to compel you to make really hard choices, and that's a natural part of being a woman or a man of faith who practices it very seriously, with joy, but seriously, who takes it very seriously and has it as the foundation of their life. Some of those difficult decisions, for instance, this young man breaking up with his girlfriend, will cause you temporary confusion or great confusion, and sometimes great pain. Right? That there was so much pain in that breakup of saying, I love this person, but these differences are too great. And I want you to know that in those difficult decisions, even though they cause you pain, confusion, whatever that may be, they're worth it. When you follow your heart and when you follow what you really feel God is calling you to in that decision, it is worth it. And it might take a month or 3 months or 6 months or 6 years to see that. But I have never ever met a person who made this decision to follow their heart, to really keep, their faith at the core of their life, who said, I really regret doing that. One of the things to note as a Catholic, I talked about this in my video on contraception within marriage. One of the questions that is asked of a couple entering into the sacrament of marriage, which you can, if you are a Catholic, you can marry a person who's non-Catholic, says, are you prepared to accept children lovingly from God and to bring them up according to the law of Christ and his church? So within that, you have to agree to raise any children that you might have in the Catholic faith. And if you practice a different faith, I'm not sure what you have to agree to, commit to, vow to on your wedding day within your wedding ceremony, but that is a part of a Catholic wedding ceremony. That's very important. That should not be overlooked. This is a very serious thing, and I really encourage you, if this is something you're thinking about discerning, marrying someone of a different faith, to talk about it with people you trust in your life, spiritual director, spiritual mentor, because this is really serious. And as people might have shared with you in your life, things change a lot when children come into the picture. A lot of people might, have agreed to one thing, and when children come along, they think, I changed my mind on that. And this is not doom and gloom. This is just really something to seriously consider. I have met women who, the man that they married was not Catholic, but agreed to get married in the Catholic Church and say yes to those questions, including that one. And once the babies came and the mom wanted to baptize the babies, he didn't want to do that anymore and had changed his mind. And that becomes a very, very sticky and difficult situation, and something very, very, very important to consider when you're making your decisions. That's just one example of very, very many. All that to say, there are interfaith marriages and wonderful interfaith dating relationships that happen. There are some people who that difference they saw, they really talked through the difference over and over to the nth degree and saw that it is something that they wanted to embrace and choose in their life. It absolutely happens, and that works for some people. But these are a few points that I wanted to bring up in for your consideration. For those of you who have asked me, like, I broke up because I saw the difference was too big. Did I do the wrong thing? When you follow your heart, when you follow really what you feel God is calling you to, when you look at your non-negotiables, right? That list to say, these are the things that I really, truly desire and don't want to compromise on, you will never regret that. And I encourage you, write out your list of things. This is what I want if I'm ever going to get married one day, and to stick to those things. Highly encourage you to that. Once again, there are many branches to this tree, but I wanted to talk about that, to have this video to live on with my channel forever. I highly encourage you to talk with people you trust in your life about that, who can give you very, very specific and solid guidance and direction for your specific situation. Thanks for watching once again. So glad you're here. I will talk to you soon. Bye.